Welcome to Cosmic Diaries. This is Priya, Kale, your astrologer, and it's Christmas Eve. So, a very happy Christmas, happy Hanukkah, and season's greetings for whatever you're celebrating or not. Today, I want to talk to you about Mars' transit through Pisces, why this is so significant uh, as we enter the year, as well as for the coming year, and why it's so important to start off on the right foot. What's interesting is Mars entered Pisces on the 19th of December, just hours before Mercury stationed retrograde. And now Mars will leave Pisces to enter Aries, which is its home sign, on the day that Mercury leaves its shadow. So, on the same day that Mercury will pass the point that it was at on the 19th of December, Mercury will be back at that point again and will be clearing shadow. It's very significant. You can almost rewrite history and really decide how you want this to play out and how you want to shape the coming future. Because there's a lot more riding on your choices than you realize. And unless you become conscious of what motivates you, you're not going to know if you're making the right choices. And there is no such thing as a right or a wrong choice, but whether your choices are taking you closer towards what you want to create. So it's like there's alarm bells going off everywhere, but you're going to have to use your discernment in understanding where there really is a fire and where, it's a false alarm. You're going to have to move in awareness. It's a very magical, musical, creative, passionate, dreamy, romantic time. And it's all about awareness and when so much more is possible and when boundaries are just opening up. You're reaching breakthroughs. Not everything is as it seems. You can't see the world through rose-tinted glasses. Now more than anything, you've got to see everything for what it is, without judgment. Without judgment. But learning through experience. Dipping your toes before diving into something and then realizing there's no water in the pool. So, slow. And you can navigate these waters, and by the end of January, you'll be ready. Take action. Pisces is the 12th sign of the zodiac. It's a water sign, it's a mutable sign. It's very permeable energy. It's spirit in its subtlest form in terms of your soul and the divine spirit or cosmic consciousness or God or the universe or energy on its subtlest level of vibration. Or then you talk about spirit in its grossest form, which is alcohol, as the name suggests, spirit, or prescription drugs or non-prescription drugs. This is oneness. It's boundless energy. It is very divine energy. Mars is the ruler of Aries. Mars is a fiery planet. With Pisces, it can be very psychic energy. It can be very deep and penetrative. With Mars, you always have to pay attention because it rules knives. It's very primal energy. It's a primal force. On a subtler level, it's your ambitions, it's your drive, it's what motivates you, it's the fire within you. It's your drive to go do something. It is the self. It represents the masculine aspect of you. And if you look at an astrological chart, there's no way by looking at just a chart to know if someone is a man or a woman. Because we all have Mars in our charts and we all have Venus in our charts. It's how we express those energies. And our external body, it's only the physical. As a side note, you're going to see more of people accepting themselves and the fluidity of their own gender. It's a great time to really dive into your own self-process, not necessarily of sexuality, although Mars does rule sex and passion. Sure, your sexual desires are highlighted through this transit. This is key actually to understanding astrology and any transit. The planet will tell you what is happening. The house that it's happening in your natal chart, wherever Pisces falls, will tell you where it's happening in your life. And the sign will tell you how it's happening, how an action is happening, or how a situation is playing out. Over Christmas and between now and the end of the year, there's going to be a lot of release. It's a release of the past. It's a release of old fantasies. Anyone you know or you are struggling with addictions, this is a time when you can really let go of them or get the help that you need to move forward. It's a very, very powerful time when the things that you do consciously want to let go of, you can now, so it doesn't continue to haunt you. On the 1st of January, Mars will make a conjunction to Neptune, and then Venus enters Pisces on the 3rd of January. So Venus is exalted in Pisces. So relationships are going to get very romantic, and this is very creative energy. And there's a new moon on the 29th of December, so that's in Capricorn. It's a whole new world that we're entering into. As we enter this new year, things might seem almost a little surreal. Hopefully, not in an unpleasant way, but things could seem a little surreal. There's a dreaminess to the energy. It's really magical and it's very mystical, even this energy. So reality is more malleable than you think and more magical than you think in the truest sense of the word. But it's equally easy right now to get caught up in a fantasy and then be rudely awakened and disappointed. Really, really honest with yourself. Mars is about the self, and the worst lies are the ones that we tell ourselves. Mercury is retrograde. Mars is going to make a conjunction to Neptune. Whatever else is going on in your life, it's a very deeply spiritual time. And by that, I don't mean, the Facebook spirituality that we have going on. It's not about, reading a good post or a quote. It's about doing the work. Make it a point, starting this year, starting right now, starting tomorrow, where every day you sit in silence for at least 5 minutes a day, and then you can increase it if you don't already have a meditation practice. This is food for the soul. It's, as my guru says, it's watering the roots. We go around our life watering the branches of the tree rather than watering the roots. We're taking care of situations rather than going back to the source within. That's what this Pisces energy really is all about. Because it can be very ethereal and it can be on the surface where everything can be very glamorous. But you have to be able to see beyond the veil to see if something has depth or if you're just going to be sucked into a rabbit hole. There could be a sense of fog, and that's the time when you really need to be very honest with yourself about where you're going, what you want, and what's motivating you. Be in no denial of anything, of your fantasies, of your desires, and how you feel. Doesn't mean you have to act on everything you feel, but at least acknowledge it, because otherwise it's going to happen unconsciously. So it's all about just being aware so you don't fall asleep at the wheel. In relationships, it's about transparency. It doesn't mean that you don't have boundaries until you get to know someone. Especially now that Mercury is retrograde, relationships are deepening. But also, if you're just meeting someone new during the retrograde, then I would definitely advise you to be cautious. And not that someone's necessarily trying to be deceptive, although there could be influences of that. Because Mars and Neptune, when they come together, there can be deception. That is definitely one way that it plays out. But that's why it's important to give the energy a channel so it doesn't play out in ways that are less than desirable. You get to know someone. You don't know until you experience something. And right now you're being asked to go beyond mental perceptions and you're learning the potential in things. And if something seems too good to be true, it might be. You don't have to project your suspicion, but if there's doubt, pay attention to people's actions rather than words. Jupiter will be opposing Uranus on the 26th of December. Jupiter will oppose Uranus 2 more times over the coming year in 2017. So what happens in this last week of 2016 is it's a wake-up call to your life, and it's showing you what's possible, it's showing you what's real, and it's showing you what's not real. That's falling apart are our illusions. The more we can let go of those expectations, we'll start to see the potential in situations. 16th as Mars conjuncts Chiron. This can be a very healing transit, but it can also be a very bittersweet transit. So it's a lot of very honest with yourself about what needs to heal. You have issues with addictions, or you or anyone else you know and need help. This is a great time to really get that help. Then on the 19th of January, Mars squares Saturn, so this is a turning point. You could have all the dreams in the world and you're seeing the potential in something, which is great. But now you have to ground it. This is something that you really want, then it's going to take time, it's going to take dedication, it's going to take devotion. The possibilities are endless, but it, you don't have an infinite amount of time. It's about our mortality. We don't have infinite time on Earth. And Mars in Pisces is very ethereal energy. Get a taste of how infinite your being is and how infinite your soul is. But mortal life in this physical body lasts only this long, which is why we need to remember to cherish every moment that we have. To be meeting people who you really connect with on a very deep soul level. Soulmate relationships, far from being romantic and glamorous as it's made out to be, they're some of the most challenging relationships you have. And in one sense, we're all soulmates. We're all souls, and we're all here. And you just resonate with certain people on a deeper level than others. Everyone in your life is your soulmate. It's just the depth of your connection. And ultimately, as you enter deeper into yourself, you will see that there can be that experience of oneness, where the separation between you and me is in our minds. How there's all this potential, but what am I going to manifest with it? If this is the dream that I'm dreaming, how can I make this real? What are the steps that I need to take? And then actually taking those steps. So, to sum it up, Mars in Pisces, this energy is very mystical, beautiful, musical, creative, romantic, dreamy. And I mean, people with Mars and Pisces will have this, you know, iridescent, dreamy quality. They seem like they came from another world. It's that shimmer in the world come January where everything seems a little more possible, and it is, but you go beyond the surface to really see the depths in situations. Or you could miss something that's potentially could warm your heart and soul. This, at best, is unconditional love. This is meant something that we're meant to share with everyone. This is what the universe really is, just unconditional love. So it's about tuning into that within yourself, and then letting that be an outpouring from you. So you become a vessel for a higher spirit. If you take nothing away from this video, take this thing is what it seems. In fact, things are not as they seem. So you're going to have to be centered. And for that, we're going to have to learn to meditate and water the roots, which is going inward to the source, rather than looking externally for answers. And I guarantee you it will change your life. So at the end of this transit, very significantly, as Mars leaves Pisces and enters Aries, and Mercury makes that conjunction with Pluto, you're gaining clarity on a situation, what you want, the potential in situations. And now it's going to be a time to act. You're going to have to make some choices. And if you don't make the choices, then the choices will be made for you. That's Pluto. We're strange creatures. We learn through pain better than we learn through love. But it doesn't have to be that way. And the universe is trying to help us to wake up. But you can soften this process for yourself by becoming aware of your own fantasies, your own illusions, your own desires, so that you don't project them onto reality and then be disappointed when things don't match up. Sometimes you see something and you know something's wrong, but you want to believe it because it matches your idea of the way things should be. And then when things turn out to be something else, you realize. So we don't have to go through that anymore. It's just about getting out of your perceptions and experiencing situations, and then being wise enough to know where you want to go deeper into. Get to the 12 signs really quickly. You could definitely listen to your rising sign as well. It would give you an added perspective. Aries takes place in your 12th house and is especially significant because Mars is your ruler. And the 12th house is the part of your chart that represents your subconscious and what's everything that's hidden from you, your dreams. Now it's really important for you to be very, very honest with yourself about your desires, your subconscious desires. Personally, sexually, anything that you've been in denial of. Even if you're not ready to reveal everything yet, it's at least important that you're very honest with yourself. We're only as sick as our secrets. It's important that you're not asleep at the wheel. Uranus is in your sign, and this is all asking you to wake up. Your dreams might be trying to tell you a lot. There's a lot going on work wise, but there's a new vision birthing within you. And you can make this a reality. But it's a matter of now asking yourself what you really want to create with your life. And then acknowledging how your goals have changed, and then setting goals, and then taking conscious action. Once Mars enters your sign at the end of January, you'll be ready to go. Even if things are seem to be happening behind the scenes right now, take time to find clarity on a vision. Taurus. So this takes place for you in your 11th house of friends, your social circles, as well as your hopes, dreams, and it's traditionally the house of the fulfillment of your wishes. You may be meeting a lot of new people now, socially or on the internet, or your social network is kind of widening, even maybe through work and your colleagues and your peers. And there are friendships as well that are being highlighted now, places that you could collaborate with on a professional level. And it could be you could have very creative partnerships now. There can be a deepening of bonds, and you're meeting people that you could have truly soul connections with. But you also have been burnt before. Learn your lessons so you don't make the same mistakes again. But it's also important that you not project suspicion and project mistrust. If you don't know someone very well, then take your time to get to know someone before you dive in. When it comes to friendships that are healing, and you learn to forgive, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Seek transparency. Offer others freedom that you need as well to be themselves and accept them for who they are. But then know that you have a choice as well to go along with something or not. And ultimately, you need to be conscious of what you want out of your life and for your life. This is your 11th house. So you can have what you want, but it's about being very honest about what you want and being very clear about what you want. And then keeping the space open for that and not being in a hurry to find something. If something's real, then it's not going to slip away. It's time for you to really clarify a vision that you have for your life. As the year progresses, you're going to see how to make this a reality. So Gemini. Gemini, for you, this transit takes place in your 10th house. The song by Bob Dylan comes to mind. You got to serve somebody. So who are you serving and what are you serving right now? You've got to be very, very honest with yourself as you ask yourself that. What does success mean to you? And what would you do to get it? Got to be very careful to not be in denial of anything and of your own motivations, most importantly. Think, be very clear on your goals. Whose agenda are you really following? There's something an ambition you've had, which has been a dream, elusive. You're waking up to some of the ways where you've gone after superficial ideas of success. You're now becoming aware of your own illusions. Importantly, your power to reach for what is most meaningful to you and what you want to give back to the world. This is not about success by anybody else's standards, but yours. You can be a leader, but to be a leader, you have to be an example. Do as I do, not just do as I say. To be respected, you have to walk your talk. You have a lot more authority and power than you think. It's about you not giving away your power blindly, as well as not blindly chasing some idea of a dream, but really being honest about what your most soulful ambitions are. It's not about your image, it's more about what you have to give back. Ambition that has seemed elusive to you, you're now either seeing the possibilities in it, or how you can manifest something, or you're recognizing fantasies and the ambitions that you've outgrown and that aren't real. So you can dream a new dream for yourself. So Cancer, for you this takes place in your ninth house. So on a mundane level, you might be, if you're traveling at this point, just make sure you have all your documents and everything's clear. If you're dealing with any legal issues, it's very important that you're very clear on your any legal contracts as well. Understand the fine print. Because your ninth house is also about spirituality, about examining your religious beliefs and how they color your world, and who or what you perceive to have authority or power in your life, and what you give away your power to, who you give away your power to. In terms of your ambitions, there is a way forward now, but you're going to have to kind of navigate and explore different avenues. Things are more possible than you think or than they seem, but stay true to your highest truth and integrity, to be guided by your most altruistic ambitions. Above all, keep your perspective, not being in a hurry to jump into anything. There's more coming to the surface, and as you learn more, you can make more wise choices. So, Leo, for you, this takes place in your eighth house. It's got to do with power, sex, sex for procreation, bloodlines, where it's actually other people's money. So, your business partnerships, or a marriage, or any relationship where, sex, money, bloodlines are involved. On a deeper level, this is about intimacy and really transformation. A lot is changing in your world right now. It's important that you're very transparent now in your dealings and you're very clear in real value of what's being exchanged beyond just the surface. So, which means you have to know what your hooks are, what your attachments are in a situation. Has pushed your boundaries, and, and it's important now that you gather some perspective on what's going on and not just blindly get into a power struggle. It's a time when you can let go of a lot of the past that haunts you, so that you don't continue to repeat patterns unconsciously. No one really has power in your life unless you give it away. Only you have authority in your life, and then above you there's God of the universe. But you're awakening to a deeper reality and a higher truth about your relationships, as well as what you want out of life and what's really going to matter in your life at the end of your life. So, life is short. We don't know how long we have. And this is a very fertile, lucrative time for all your relationships. They're asking you to go deeper. Remember that decide where you go deeper. Know your bottom line. Then you needn't fear going over the edge. Actually, you could deepen intimacy with someone. But remember, that comes from being able to bare your heart and your soul to another, not just your body. Being clear about your values surrounding sex, love, money, marriage. Looking at your parents' values and then recognizing how yours are different, or if you're unconsciously repeating their patterns and you've unconsciously absorbed their values, become aware of them so you don't just blindly keep going around in circles, especially when there's so much for you to gain here. The same is true for financial relationships as well as creative partnerships. Seeing the relationships, seeing where you want to invest your energy and your resources and your time and your love, because it matters to you, not because of what you think you're going to get back. It comes down to honesty and honest communication. Virgo. So Virgo, for you, this conjunction, well, not conjunction, this Mars transit takes place in your seventh house. So your relationships are heating up, and it's important now that you are clear about, your ideas about a relationship and how they should be or how they work. Really, it comes down to teamwork, looking at the relationships and the people who show up with their presence and not just with their words. People that you can actually work with in a team, people that you can, who are there for you. It's not about having expectations of others, but rather becoming clear of your own, illusions and fantasies or expectations. You can still ask for what you need. It's about seeing who shows up rather than expecting things from others and then being disappointed if they don't match up. Venus also entering Pisces soon. There's a lot of potential in your relationships. Creatively, you could be forming really fruitful partnerships as well as, personally. At best, our relationships are a mirror. So you've got to go beyond the surface, not only for others, it's not just about judging others, recognizing the beauty in everyone in your life. Relationships right now are being a mirror to you. So look at what you're attracting. If there's something that you can't trust, or if someone seems too good to be true, then trust your instincts. Those who have nothing to hide, hide nothing. So you don't have to, be suspicious of anyone, be paranoid, or project doubt because you've been burned before. But as long as you've learned your lessons, when in doubt, ask, clarify matters, seek depth. Then you can make wise choices and healthy choices in relationships. And it's always good to have boundaries until you get to know someone better. Then you can decide who you want to let into your world and how much. So Libra. Libra, for you, Mars is the ruler of your seventh house, Aries. Your relationships are heating up now. Well, they have been for a while. Since Uranus entered your seventh house back in 2010, your relationships have changed a lot. There have been people who've suddenly come into your life, there have been people who've left your life, and this is still happening, even right now. So it's almost like the universe doesn't fail to surprise you in terms of the people that it suddenly brings into your world. On a work level, form really creative partnerships and learn a lot, enjoy creating with even, and even create something that really gives back to this world on a much greater level than you would have imagined. Pay attention now. What are the habits or activities or routines that drain you and replenish you? What is the work that fulfills you at the end of the day? Even if you work really hard, there's a sense of fulfillment at the end of the day. At times, we all have to do things we don't always like or enjoy. It's part of the process of life. When you're working towards something that has a deeper meaning, and that deeper meaning always only comes from, this is the sixth house thing, it comes from selflessness. Also, if there are relationships in your life that need healing, by the way, this is Chiron here in my lap. Um, if there are relationships in your life that need healing, you can heal them now. But it's also important for you to be really honest about what isn't working and what needs to heal and what you need to do so something can heal or a situation can heal. Which means also letting go of the past, being able to forgive another, and acknowledging where you need to heal as well. It's about what comes after love and romance. It's like, can you live with each other on a daily basis? Is the relationship a healing one? Is it a loving one? Is it a kind one? Is it a supportive one? Is it one that supports your dreams? As February happens and we get further into the year, relationships really are heating up. So this period is a chance to get clear on what you want in your life, the relationships that are supportive and that replenish you, and the ones that drain you. So Scorpio, for you, this is your fifth house. And your fifth house relates with your creativity, sex, love, your children, and your innermost self. Your inner part of your chart that represents risks and your heart. You're becoming aware of your deeper desires, creatively, sexually, romantically, personally. It needs a channel now, it needs an outlet. This is really an outpouring of you. You have so much, it's like you have an ocean of creativity within you that you haven't even tapped the surface of. You and Sagittarius, actually, right now especially. And you're bursting. So what you're learning now over the next month is what really makes you come alive. Who really makes you come alive? And ultimately, it comes back to you understanding that, well, the fifth house is about the self. So it's about love, but it's about yourself. That's your being. That's who you are. You're just pure love. You don't need to judge if someone is worthy of your love or not. You do get to value yourself and know the value of what you're sharing so that you don't waste your energy. It's all about expectations, right? He's conscious about your subtle desires of needing to be loved or wanting to be loved. But remember, those who love you will love you anyway. And those who don't love you, who only see the surface, you can't really count on that anyway. It's about going deep and diving deep into your own heart, which is the source of all your creativity and your whole life, really. And Mars is your ruler, your traditional ruler. So this is a very significant transit for you, where you're really understanding how limitless your potential is for creativity, for love, for passion, and living a life that you love daily with passion. So it's awakening to these desires in your heart. And again, when it comes to relationships and sex and love, you've got to put yourself out there, especially when it comes to love. Like, you of course learn your lessons and be very conscious of superficial romantic fantasies of how you think love should be or is, but really go to the depths of your own heart and someone else's heart to experience something, and be very clear about there's nothing wrong with sex and love, or either one, both. It's just about being very, very honest about what you want, where you're at. Be transparent with yourself, and then it'll be easier for you to be honest with others. There's something that you desire, and there's something that you can actually create, and you're birthing now, and where angels fear to tread. Something is calling you to take a risk and chance on your heart. Remember the lessons you've learned. Remember to value yourself. It's a journey of self-discovery, of discovering your own heart, exploring your desires, and being conscious of the life that you're creating in every given moment. Which is Sagittarius. This transit takes place for you in your fourth house. And the fourth house relates with your past, your father, your family, your roots, your sense of security, really. It's the deepest part of your chart. You might feel a sense of urgency around some situation that triggers your insecurities, emotional or even financial. And financially, things have been rough for Sagittarius for a few years. Has asked you to dig deeper for your self-worth. And now you're learning how endless your depth is. You have an ocean of untapped potential within you. Creative love, a lot more to you, and you're discovering that. A situation at home or a family situation might be heating up. But it's important now that you not make any choices, first of all, in haste or panic or fear. Be very conscious about what is triggering your insecurities and go deeper to the source of an issue. You're not a child anymore. And what's happening is very likely triggering situations, perhaps even as far as back as childhood. Examine your relationship with your father. There's a sense of you learning now to feel safe again in your own skin, in your environment. If you're buying or selling property, make sure your negotiations are very clear. You don't want to sell yourself short. Care about your values and your bottom line. Look at where your resources are being drained and plugging those leaks. When it comes to love and a relationship, look at how your past experiences shape your expectations of someone or something, or how you think things should be. The present is not the past. You needn't repeat old patterns. But it's also important that you acknowledge your true desire, at least to yourself. Commitment always comes from the inside out. So you need not let someone in that you don't want to let in. At least acknowledge what you want for your life, and then share that space with you consciously. On all levels, this is really about you learning to feel more safe and comfortable in your own skin. It's not about how much money you have in the bank or not. Everything that you do have in your life, you've created this. You have the power to create the life that you envision now, that really brings you a sense of security and frees you to be yourself and manifest your best in the world. And you can create this, but it's a lot of just letting go of the past, old illusions, wiping the slate clean. So you can open up to a fresher flow of security, financial, emotional, abundance, love, and beauty into your Capricorn. So Capricorn, this transit takes place in your third house, and your third house rules your mind, communication, also your siblings, short distance travel. Be very, very clear in all your negotiations. Be very honest with yourself first and foremost. Mercury is retrograde in your sign, and the worst lies are the ones we tell ourselves. So be in no denial, and don't lie to yourself. Something seems to be true or seems amiss. Trust your intuition. Follow up on it. Seek clarity where you can. And if you're not sure of something, wait until you have clarity. You have a lot of ideas, a lot of creative ideas, and These are quite lucrative as well. And it's about gaining clarity on a vision. When it comes to any negotiations or communication, it's about honesty and transparency and sharing your vision with others. Avoid projecting your perceptions on things, for better or for worse. When you don't know, don't assume, ask. Aquarius, this is in your second house. Second house, this transit takes place in your second house. Second house rules your values, your money, your possessions. It's also some of your deepest commitments. It's important now that you really be clear on your values, what you value, who you value, and why. Um, Money can't buy you love, and money can't really buy you anything of true value. The best things in life are free, and I mean, it all sounds like a cliche, but it is true. Even when it comes to your relationships, you have so much to give now, whether it's your personal relationships, creative relationships, partnerships, financial relationships. You're in a more secure position than you think. If you're feeling the lack right now, it's a matter of going beyond just the obvious. Instead of looking at what you lack, look at what you have, because what you have is enough to make more of what you need. So financially and personally, how you value yourself, how you feel about yourself is what is going to ultimately attract the resources to you or relationships to you. I mean, if you don't value yourself, why would somebody else value you? It's not about this fake importance of, oh, look at me. No, it's how much do I have to give and what do I have to give and what recognizing the value of that, really. Going beyond just the superficial, surface stuff that surrounds relationships or money or success or any of that. It's what's inside that matters. If addiction is an issue in your life, then this is a good time to really look at what is the void that you're trying to fill. On an unconscious level, somewhere, something needs to heal. So financially and emotionally, this is really deepening your sense of self-worth, deepening an awareness of your potential and how. But then it's about investing in what you value not because of what you'll get back in return, but because you value it. Love is an action. Finally, Pisces. So Mars, of course, is in your sign and in your first house. So this is, you're feeling this very personally, and you're probably feeling very passionate and energized right now. It's important now that you're very transparent and honest with yourself, and you're not compromising your values, or you're in no denial, and you're not lying to yourself. You can lie to the world, but you can't lie to yourself. About who you are at your depths when you think no one is watching, because people are watching, but it's not because people are watching. It's about you. It's about you being true to yourself. You're getting a sense of your own immortality, but at the same time, your humanity. Thought about awareness of how you conscious of how you're being, how balanced your energy is, because it is having ripple effects out in the world, in conscious or unconscious ways, and ultimately everything comes around. So, and the truth always comes out. So you just have to be really honest with yourself and then act consciously, not say one thing and do another. And especially, it's important that you practice what you preach. So that's it. And with that, I wish you a very, very, very blessed holiday season again, and best and warmest wishes for a very happy and prosperous new year and loving new year. Love and joy and magic. Alright, ta-ra for now. I'll catch you